When you hear the name the Big 12, you probably think of 12 teams, right? The new Big 12 insists of adding Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah. So now the Big 12 has 16 teams, and that doesn't really sound too well, am I right? Well, we're going to be ranking every single Big 12 starting quarterback for the 2024 college football season, and we're going to see what you guys think of it. Let's rank every single projected Big 12 starting quarterback now. Hoodays fam, what's going on? Welcome back, and today we are ranking every single Big 12 quarterback that is projected to start for the 2024-25 college football season. Whenever I do a tier list video, it doesn't seem to go too good. Obviously, people don't like to agree with me, and I understand that. So, let's kick this off by saying, once again, as I say during every single tier list video, these are my personal rankings. What I rank may not be what you think is correct, and that's totally fine. So I just want to get that out the way immediately. We have 16 Big 12 quarterbacks to rank today, and it's going to be pretty interesting. The first guy on the list is BYU's quarterback, Gerry Bohanon. I think that's how you pronounce it. Correct me if I'm wrong, which I probably am. Gerry Bohanon is a pretty interesting one. That's why I want to do him first, and I moved him up to the top. He didn't get his starting opportunity until 2022, which is kind of interesting for quarterbacks in the Big 12. After being redshirted in 2018, he did play one snap that year, and it was an incomplete pass. In 2021, he started 12 of 14 games for Baylor. He threw for 2,200 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. And then in 2022, it didn't really go too well. Bohanon had an injury that he really thought he'd never play football ever again, and it kind of kept him out for an extra year, so he didn't get to use his last year college eligibility, which he will be using this year. So he transferred from Baylor to BYU, and he thought, and this is his words, not mine, he thought he would never play football again, and he didn't think that Baylor was giving him a correct chance. Now, I'm going to rank this is going to be pretty confusing. He has injury problems, so I can't really put him into really anywhere above, above average, that's how I'd say it. But I don't really disrespect the guy. I think he's a good quarterback. It's his last year of college eligibility. He's going to get it with BYU. As of right now, I'm going to put him in unproven, and I guess his twin as well, because for some reason there's two of them. Actually, I'm just going to put him in the back, but I just feel like he's not proven. He hasn't really played a lot of football in his 5 years of college football. He started one season. He played 12 of 14 games, so I'm not going to go ahead and put him above everyone else. He's kind of just unproven right now. Obviously, he's going into like his 6th year of college football, but he's still unproven. Injuries, he didn't start his first 2 years. He started 12 of 14 in 2021. Then 2022, he gets hurt, and Baylor goes like 1-11. I can't really put him anywhere above that. I don't want to say he's mid. I don't think he's terrible either, because we haven't seen a lot from him. And then when he did play, he was a pretty good quarterback for Baylor. So, we can't really put him really anywhere above there. We'll see this season what happens, though. Next, we have Sam Leavitt. Once again, if I'm pronouncing this wrong, just let me know. Who played in 4 games for Michigan last year, which he didn't start any of them, is another interesting guy here. He's going into his sophomore year. He was redshirted his freshman year. Last year was basically his freshman year. I think Arizona State's getting a good quarterback. I don't think he's proven just yet. He's barely played football. So, there's another guy we can't really rank. He doesn't have injury problems, but he's barely played, He's played 4 games, and he hasn't started any of them. He's only thrown like 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and he hasn't really thrown that many passes. I think it's under 40. So, another guy that's unproven, can't really rank him, can't call him mid, can't call him terrible, can't call him the best, and just gonna have to stay in unproven for now. Maybe this season we'll see what happens with Arizona State. Do I think they'll compete in the Big 12? No, not really. We'll see how he plays this year, hopefully. I wish him the best, and I hope he does do good. I really like the guy. I think he could be a good quarterback for Arizona State, and if he has a good season this year, he'll probably hit the transfer portal and go to a better team, but for right now, he's gonna have to stay in unproven, as we just don't know enough about him just yet. He's a very mobile quarterback, though I will say that now. Next up on the list, we got Brendan Sorbsey, who is the quarterback for Cincinnati. He had a good season last year as he played for Indiana, and he did hit the transfer portal this season and head to Cincinnati, as he thinks that will be a better chance for him to be a better quarterback around in Cincinnati. I don't disrespect it. Bengals are winning the Super Bowl. That's not on the topic. I'll move that now. Anyway, Brendan Sorbsey had a pretty good year last year in Indiana. Now, he didn't start every game, but he had a 15-5 touchdown interception ratio along with 15,000 passing yards. He also averaged way over 40 rushing yards a game. So, Brendan Sorbsey, I think he has probably the most talent on this list. If he can get that on the field, that's the question though. Brendan Sorbsey's a great quarterback, I think, now going into his sophomore year, I believe. I don't want to put him in the mid category. I think he's proven himself last year. He had a pretty good year last year, I'd say. I'm going to put him in above average. I think he has a lot of potential, and like I said, probably the most potential on this list. And I say this, I don't mean he's better than most of these guys right now. I think potential-wise, he could be better than them in the future. You know, I could see him as an NFL quarterback one day if he just keeps proving his game, and you know, we'll see what happens. Next up, we have Josh Hoover, TCU starting quarterback, and last year was pretty much of a letdown for TCU fans as they didn't even make the bowl game. They missed their eligibility, and Josh Hoover had an okay season. He threw for 2,200 yards with 15 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, and he didn't really look too good completion percentage wise, so I can't really say anything about that right now. I think he could be good in the future, and just as of right now, I'm not going to put him in unproven because he started this season, but I do think Josh Hoover potentially could be good. I don't know. I mean, Josh Hoover, you know, if the pressure gets on him, he could definitely escape. Josh Hoover, not going to put him in the terrible category. I'm going to put him in mid for now. Now, when I say mid, or when people say mid, most people think mid. Like, mid is the new terminology of just bad, and I don't like how that turned into that. When I'm putting him in mid, I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. I'm saying pretty much he's in the middle of unproven, and just, you know, he didn't have a good year last year. He's kind of proved himself, so I can't even say he's unproven, but I don't know. I mean, Josh Hoover is just an interesting one for now. I'm just gonna have to put him in mid just because I don't, away we put him in terrible. You know, last year it's his first year starting, so we can't just say he's terrible right off that. He's not top 3, not above average, not even the best, I'd say, but you know, for now we'll put Josh Hoover in mid, and once again, when I say mid, not bad, just middle of the pack. Next up, we have Texas Tech's quarterback Brennan Morton. He didn't have a good freshman year, throwing 7 touchdowns and 6 interceptions and slightly over 1,000 yards, but he didn't start all those games, so we can't really say that. Last year, he threw for 1.7K yards with 15 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. Another guy that it's kind of hard to rank here. I don't want to put him in terrible because, you know, he has another 2 years of eligibility, and we can't just say he's terrible, but I think that's where I'm going to have to go with this one. I just don't think he has the capability to be an NFL starting quarterback or even a top-level starting quarterback in the Big 12. Then again, I could be wrong. You know, maybe he'll prove me wrong. I hope so. I hope all these guys on the list are good quarterbacks this year. But for now, I don't see him better than most of the guys above him. And for now, we'll just put him in terrible. Once again, hopefully he proves me wrong, but that's just where I'm going to go for my, you know, perspective standpoint on him right now. Next up on the list is Alan Bowman, quarterback for Oklahoma State, who's now going into his, I believe, 6th year of college football, and I'm not even sure how he made it this far. Going into your 6th year should pretty much tell you guys right off the bat, this dude is not good. Last year, he threw for 3,400 yards and 15 touchdowns and 14 interceptions in a pretty much struggling program that I don't even think should be in the Big 12, but you know, that's what we have as of right now. He started in 2018, 2019, and 2020. So he pretty much took a gap year, I guess you'd say. He did not start in 2021 or 2022. He threw a total of 11 passes between 2021 and 2022. So once again, that should pretty much say something. I'm not even sure how he's a starting quarterback or he's even a projected starting quarterback right now. I'm going to put him in the bag of terrible. He is probably the worst guy in this list, I'd say. Once again, hope he proves me wrong, but from my standpoint, I don't think he's good, and I don't think he'll be good for his final year of college football. Oklahoma State fans, I wish you the best of luck with this guy because you're going to need it this season. Next up, Donovan Smith, the Houston Cougars quarterback. Probably the most mobile quarterback on this list if you're not going to count Kansas quarterback. Donovan Smith averages way over 50 yards rushing a game. He's a pretty mobile quarterback, like I just said. He started some games between 21, 22, and 23, which is last year. Last year, he threw for 2,800 yards with 22 touchdowns and 13 interceptions, and that's not even counting his rushing stats. Donovan Smith, pretty good quarterback, and no, I'm not talking about the Jets offensive lineman. I'm talking about the Houston quarterback. They have similar names. When I looked up Donovan Smith, it came up with the offensive lineman, which is not what I was going for, but I think Donovan Smith's above average quarterback. I'm going to put him right at the top of above average, I'd say. Another guy on this list that is pretty underrated, pretty heavily underrated, I'd say. I don't think people really watch too much Houston, and that could be the reason why, but if you ever get a chance to watch a Houston game this year, this is going to be one of the guys you're going to want to pay attention to. Donovan Smith is, you know, a potential NFL quarterback if he can have another good year this year going into his senior year. And yeah, he's not going to be a top pick, but he's going to probably be picked in the back end of the round. So, you know, we'll see what happens. Hopefully he does get picked in the draft at the end of this year. Next up is DeQuan Finn, who played at Toledo last year, and now he's with Baylor. In 2021, DeQuan Finn threw for over 2,000 passing yards with 18 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. So that was probably his best year of college football so far during his college football career. 2022, he had a 23-12 touchdown interception ratio with over 2,000 passing yards. And then 2023, he threw for well over 2,000 with 22 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. So there's another interesting guy on this list. DeQuan Finn, quarterback for Toledo last year. Now he's with Baylor. He's their projected starting quarterback for right now. I'm going to put him in above average. I think he's a above average quarterback as of right now. and I think he could get better along the way. Also, I probably should have moved unproven under terrible, because unproven, it looks like these guys are better, which they're not. They're just unproven as of right now. Next up, Iowa State's quarterback Rocco Beckett, who's now going into his sophomore year. He was with Iowa State pretty much his whole college football collegiate career, but last year he had a pretty good season for Iowa State. He threw for 3,000 passing yards with 23 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Definitely not a mobile quarterback, I'd say that right now. But Rocco Beckett, I'm going to be completely honest, I'd never know how to pronounce his name, because I've heard announcers pronounce it like 3 ways differently. Is it Rocco Beckett, Rocco Beckett? I don't know, I'm going to be completely honest, so I'm just going to go with Rocco Beckett for now. Please correct me in the comments. But I think he's a good quarterback. I'm going to put him another above average guy. I'm going to put him right in the middle, right behind Donovan Smith. Next up, Avery Johnson, Kansas State's quarterback, which last year he started 1 game and he threw for 178 yards and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, with a season total of 5 touchdowns. But that was the only game he wound up starting, and that's pretty much his only stats so far in college football. A lot of people like to rank Avery Johnson as a top quarterback in this Big 12 conference, but for me, I just don't think that we've seen a lot from the kid. I do think he has very well big potential to be a good quarterback. He only started 1 game, so some people are ranking him in the top 8, top 7. I just can't do that. I'm going to put him in unproven for now, pretty much the top of it. I think at the end of the year, he could be a top 3 quarterback in the Big 12. We'll see what happens, of course, but as of right now, I just can't really put too much on that. Next up, we have my UCF Knights quarterback, KJ Jefferson, one of the most underrated quarterbacks in this conference, and I'm pretty much going to be biased here and put him into the top 3, and let me just explain why really quick. KJ Jefferson came from Arkansas. He's a great quarterback, pretty mobile quarterback, pretty much the most mobile quarterback on this list, and he is huge. KJ Jefferson has comparisons to Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. That's at least what I compare him to. And when I say this, I'm not trying to be biased, but I just believe KJ Jefferson has the team around him right now to compete and win this conference. Now, Colorado is, I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm not going to get on that subject right now. I just believe KJ Jefferson is a quarterback that can get it done for UCF, as that's what they needed for the past couple of years. They haven't had a quarterback come to the NFL, and I couldn't tell you how long. And when I say that, I mean a quarterback that's actually started a game, not a quarterback that went undrafted and signed a preseason contract or whatever you want to say there. But KJ Jefferson is a top 3 quarterback, and I do believe that the Knights could win this conference this year. KJ Jefferson has everything around him to win it. Kobe Hudson, RJ Harvey. I can keep going. The defense is in the best shape it's ever been in. Next up, West Virginia's quarterback, Garrett Green. A great quarterback. I love Garrett Green. I think he is a top quarterback in this conference right now. I'm gonna go ahead and put Garrett Green in the top of above average. I would put him in the top 3 right now, but I feel like we have to see a little bit more. I think he's pretty underrated though. I think Garrett Green is another guy with high potential on this list that could go ahead and shock a lot of people this year, or it wouldn't really even be a shock because Garrett Green is a great quarterback. We'll see, but I do think West Virginia could definitely snag a bowl game this year. I would love to see UCF versus West Virginia. Is that gonna happen? Probably not. I don't see that happening, but you know, we'll see. But Garrett Green, good quarterback, just needs some time. I'd like to mention Garrett Green is also a senior, so this will be his last year of college football. But last year he had a pretty good year, 16 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. That's why I put him at the top of above average. Pretty high, I guess you'd say, talent. We just have to see that on the field a little bit more. We've only seen 1 full season from him. Next up, we have Kansas's quarterback, Jalen Daniels. Not Jalen Daniels that plays for the Commanders. Jalen Daniels that plays for Kansas. Jalen Daniels, good quarterback. I believe he was hurt last year. He didn't play too much, but he did throw for 700 yards and 5 touchdowns to 1 interception. But the year before, let me get to that now, 2,000 yards to 18 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Another mobile quarterback. When he did start in 2022, he had a lot of rushing yards. I believe he had over like 500. I don't want to put him in unproven because he's a very well proven quarterback. He's a top quarterback right now, but he did get hurt last year, and I'm not going to let that affect the fact that he's a good quarterback. I'm going to go ahead and have to put him into the top 3, right behind KJ Jefferson. I think Jalen Daniels is going to have a great year this year. I can't even see Kansas competing for the playoffs this year. Jalen Daniels can potentially take them to the promised land. Will they win the chip? Probably not, but that's not the factor here. It's that Jalen Daniels is a good quarterback, top 3. Also, let me just explain this now. Top 3 is going to be the 2, 3, and 4 quarterbacks, and then the best is going to be the best quarterback in this conference. Next up, we have Cameron Rising, who is Utah's quarterback. He's a top quarterback in college football right now, entering his senior year. Last year, he threw for over 3,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. And the year before that, he threw for over 2,400 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. We have one more spot in the top 3 category. Me particularly, I'm going to give it to Cameron Rising just because I feel like Cameron has played a little bit more football. That is what we have right now in the top 3. This is going to be settling down to a good race here, I'd say. And I think this is going to surprise a lot of people who I have as the best. We've already ranked him. He's not going to be getting another spot here. So the best quarterback is either going to go to Noah or it's going to go to Shedeur Sanders. We'll see. Next up, we have Arizona's quarterback, Noah Fifita. I'm going to be honest, is another guy that I never know how to pronounce his name. I know he's a great quarterback though. Last year in his first season starting in college football, he was just short under 3,000 passing yards with 25 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Once again, if he needs to scramble out, he will do that. He's not really well known for that, but he does have some speed. Pretty small guy too, I'd say. He's 5'10", 194 pounds. Is he an NFL quarterback? I really think so in only one season starting. I think this dude can be an NFL starting quarterback from what I saw last year. Once again, this is going to shock a lot of people. I'm going to put Noah as the best quarterback in the Big 12 right now. Now, when I say this, once again, a lot of controversy is going to start coming in. Where is Shedeur going to go? I'm going to tell you right now, Shedeur Sanders is the most overrated quarterback in college football we've had in the last 10 years. He is a good quarterback, don't get me wrong. He is not the best. He is not top 3 in the Big 12. And I just think he's completely overrated just because of the Deion Sanders and, you know, his brother and all this. Noah, I'm going to give him his props after last year. He is the best quarterback in the Big 12 right now. Next up, finally, Shedeur Sanders. I'm going to go ahead and do it now. Above average, top of above average. Overrated. I completely think that, and I'm not even trying to hate. I just think he's a good quarterback, but he's not top 3 and he's not the best in the Big 12 right now. Hey, I would even say Garrett Green's better than him, but, you know, I think we'll see a little bit more of Garrett Green. A lot of people is going to come to shock when Shedeur's not drafted in the top 5 of this upcoming NFL draft. Everyone's going to be like, what's going on? Why is he dropping? It's because he was never really a top quarterback. I feel like I'm going to get a lot of hate for the Shedeur Sanders talk, but I just don't think he's a competent top 3 or top 4 quarterback in the Big 12 right now. Once again, this is just my take. I just don't think he's a top 4 quarterback in, you know, the Big 12 right now. I just think overrated, if I'm going to be completely honest. But, you know, once again, this is my list. This is what I think based off Big 12 quarterbacks. And hope y'all enjoyed. This is a pretty interesting one. We'll see how this one goes. Top Big 12 quarterbacks are now here and they're out with the rankings. So if you guys did enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn those post notifications on so you never miss another video from the GOAT who it is himself. And until next time, it's Tyler signing off. See ya.